current issue. I think from your experiences of teaching primary school PE, being asked to go in and cover lessons, your football clubs going into schools, your coaching organisations, whether it's in this country or whether it's in a different country, increasingly we are finding more private organisations, professional organisations, football clubs, rugby clubs, local authorities are being asked to cover PE lessons. So this is going back as far as 2005, so 10 years ago, a third of all primary schools are using external sport providers to cover PE lessons. And that was in 2005. Why? Go back to some of the issues that we identified: lack of teachers' knowledge, lack of understanding, lack of confidence. Teachers would rather spend more time doing other things. And there's some other things that I'll bring in a minute, such as government policy for school sport. We have something called PPA, planning, preparation, assessment time, that teachers get now in schools. All of that is increasingly providing more support for external providers to come in and do physical education lessons. Again, this was in 2004, as many as 138,000 individuals delivering sports sessions within primary schools. This is where the criticism comes in, that lots of people will look at coaches going into schools and say, you are not qualified. You have a national governing body coaching award, but you are not teacher trained. You do not understand kids. You do not understand the curriculum. You do not deliver against the curriculum. However, there's a massive argument to say coaches bring in far more qualities, and so we should be using more of them. So in the assessment, this is what I'm trying to get at, that I think coaches are well placed to go in and deliver primary school physical education. However, there is a reluctance on some part of primary schools to employ sports coaches because of some of the things that we've already discussed. It's not just in the UK, it's in other countries as well. So this is taken from New South Wales in Australia. Over 50% of primary schools use external providers. And I suppose for me, I'm fine with it. I think as long as coaches understand the curriculum, they have an understanding of there is consistency and continuity with what is being delivered in the school already, that coaches understand the school, they understand the kids, they deliver against the national curriculum. As long as they're doing that, I don't think there's an issue with using external providers, whether you're a coach working for a football club, whether you're a coach working for a private coaching organisation, sports organisation. My only concern is when coaches will go into schools and they've got no knowledge of the national curriculum. They've got no knowledge of the school. They don't understand primary school children, physically, socially, psychologically, emotionally, technically, tactically. So I think we're moving towards a situation whereby there are only going to be more schools, primary schools, particularly with the primary school sport premium primary offer now in England. So I mentioned it before, the legacy of the 2012 Olympics was to capitalise on the success of British sport. How can we get more kids physically active, engaged in school sport, with the hope that some of those kids will come through and be our next generation of athletes competing in the Olympics. So the government invested significant amount of money in primary school PE to get others coming in, such as sports coaches, such as external organisations, because they recognise there's some serious issues with primary school PE, that there's a lack of expertise, there's a lack of knowledge, there's a lack of understanding. So it's only going to get to a situation where we have more and more coaches, more and more private organisations going into schools. And for me, we just got to be careful that, yes, I think it's a value, it's a good thing. We just need to make sure that it's done properly. Okay, for the next task then, so we'll spend a little bit longer on this. So in pairs, If you're doing this individually, that's fine. I've just sort of touched on there that there are lots of benefits for a sports coach to go into a primary school and support the delivery of PE in school sport. So I want you to think of, what do you think the benefits are? Why do you think schools currently use sports coaches to go in and support the delivery of PE in school sport? So if you discuss it as a group, and then I want you to present it back to the rest, and then obviously there's a discussion that takes place around what you've come up with and why you've come up with it.